Our next guest has been shaping education for a significant part of his career, both in his home country of Finland, where he was the Minister of Education, and now globally as the Director General of the International Baccalaureate Organization. Kristen got to sit down with Olli-Pekka Heinonen and ask him how he believes we can build a learning planet for learning.
Olli-Pekka Heinonen, welcome to LP Vision. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here with us. Education development has been at the very heart of your career. You've been the Director General for Finland's National Agency for Education and are now the Director General of the International Baccalaureate Organization. Based on your experience, why has learning and education not evolved at the same rate as other aspects of our society or the way we work?
I don't think we can blame the lack of well-written educational strategies for that. There are plenty of them. The challenge is that we are in short of the capabilities to implement those strategies in the reality of everyday work in classrooms and schools. We have not taken it seriously enough that education systems are truly open living systems. And that requires us to make sure that the interaction between the different actors in that system are as smooth as possible on different layers of the system. And that requires that there is somebody in the system who takes the role of a system convener, who feeds the trust in the system, brings the different actors together, creates a process for collaboration and understanding the roles of each one in the system, and also finding a shared final aim that everybody is committed to. I think that would enable us to do a much better work in making sure that education keeps up with the changes in our society.
Thank you, Olli-Pekka. Now, since 2018, you've been working with and researching countries that are known for their very high standards of education, countries like Finland, Canada, Estonia, Hong Kong, and Singapore. Through this work, you've established that the purpose of education should be to support and enable human flourishing, enabling us to take better care of ourselves, each other, and our planet. Having done this research, how are you now implementing these learnings, and how are you going about building and delivering education for human flourishing?
With those countries and the OECD, we saw that we don't want to stop there, but we want to have a look and try to understand that what would it mean in practice if the final aim of education would be human flourishing. And that means that we have started a process now together with the countries you mentioned and some additional countries like the UK, Austria, Australia, and Germany to try to focus and understand that what would be a curriculum that aims to human flourishing, or an assessment system, or a teacher training and professional development, or the identity of teachers, or what the system would need to look like. And that's what we are doing right now, and experimenting also new solutions. One of those experiments that the International Baccalaureate we are doing with the United World College Atlantic is a good example of what we are doing. The UWC Atlantic has started a pioneering program for the diploma program to create a new element of a transdisciplinary action-based course that concentrates on 4 topics. They are food, migration, energy, and biodiversity. And that course is based on understanding change leadership, how change happens and how you can influence change, to concentrate on future studies, to understand what are the tools of future studies that can be utilized to make a better world. And also, third, to understand the systemic nature of making transformational changes. And that is kind of the ways that we try to find out what is needed if that kind of elements are brought into the education system. One of the key findings that we have already had is that that kind of an action-based transdisciplinary approach requires quite a lot from teacher training. Because we have for such a long time, especially on the secondary level, 16 plus years, we have concentrated on the subjects and measuring the knowledge that is connected to the subjects. And making that shift towards more transdisciplinary and also more kind of competence-based approach. It sounds easy, but it's really challenging, and it requires a lot from the teacher capabilities and the teacher identity. And for that reason, we are looking for exactly that kind of things to understand that how can we make the change happen to better meet the needs of future generations.
Olli-Pekka, thank you so much. We've talked about this need for a shift in the purpose of education to focus on human flourishing. And you've just described some of the things that you're doing with the International Baccalaureate Organization and others to start to realize this change. As an architect for tomorrow, what else do you believe needs to change to ensure that we're refocusing education on human flourishing and doing so correctly?
Well, I would say that one of the main topics that needs to be rethought is our assessment systems, because they have such a strong impact in everything that happens in our schools. And if we don't rethink the way assessments are run today, it's very difficult to make those changes in reality in the curriculum that would embed well in the practices of schooling and teaching and learning. And of course, when looking at that, we have to think again that what is the kind of final aim of education? It is not the learning of certain knowledges, but actually the final aim is human flourishing, but put it in other words, it is how to grow to be a human in these times. That's the final aims. The skills and competencies that are important in the future should serve that final aim. So also assessment systems should be connected to that final aim. And that is quite a change comparing how the assessments, high-stake assessments in today's world are run.
Olli-Pekka Heinonen, it's been an absolute pleasure having you with us here today. Thank you so much for sharing your experience and your insights. It's been great having you on LT Vision. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Certainly fantastic to be able to hear from Olli-Pekka about his perspectives and also to have him tell us some of the things the International Baccalaureate Organization is building for a learning planet.